Welcome to another edition of PENSDOWN. On this program, we give journalists the opportunity to tell us all that they go through while trying to get the news for us. I have been joined today by an award-winning broadcaster who has over a decade experience in TV and radio. She is the International Communications Head for Women of Africa Network under the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Policy Network. She is also the Director of Operations for the Ghana chapter for G100. She has hosted conferences over the years covering sectors such as banking, finance, trade, insurance, fintech, and has moderated panelists across the world, including Kenya, Uganda, South Africa, Rwanda, Egypt, and Israel. She is an author and motivational speaker and has passion for the youth, girl child, and women as far as their empowerment is concerned. She is the founder and CEO of Inspire Today, an NGO that focuses on supporting teenage girls in public schools. She holds a master's degree in media management, a Master of Arts degree in journalism, diploma in communication studies, and HND in building technology. Until February 2022, she was head of the business desk, news editor, producer, and news anchor for Media General, owners of TV3, 3FM, Onuya TV, and Onuya FM. Etornam say is my guest today. It's good to have you here today.
Thank you, Steve.
Right.
I'm glad it's my turn finally.
Exactly. Why did you choose journalism?
So I think that it's always been in me to become a journalist because if you look at what I've been through in my education and I still found my way into journalism, I'll say that I think I'm just destined to be a journalist. The microphone was made for me.
Wow.
Speaking comes to me naturally. The camera and the confidence in front of the camera comes to me naturally. There are so many things I don't struggle with. It comes just naturally. And even though my parents, my dad, was very he made sure that I didn't become a journalist because one, it wasn't a profession that came with a lot of respect. He didn't think that it paid much, and considering how much parents invest in their children's education, he didn't think he wanted me to end up a journalist. But I think eventually I did, because if you look at my educational background, from secondary school, I went to Polytechnic. My dad was fighting really hard for me to go to medical school.
Okay.
But I did science in secondary school and it was tough for me. I found physics very, very, very tough. I didn't look forward to physics and chemistry class. I love biology to a point, but physics and chemistry, I didn't look forward to those classes. And elective maths.
Wow.
So after going through that, I didn't want anything in science. My dad was insisting. So when I didn't make the cut for medical school, he said, there was an option to even pay, for the fee paying option. But I knew that it wasn't something I enjoyed. And at the time, I think I was pretty young to be in journalism school. So he didn't even want to have it. So he said, okay, we had another option. I should go to the Polytechnic and see what I should do. Then he said we should do electrical engineering. I knew there would be some physics somewhere. So I said, okay, the closest we can do will be building technology.
Okay.
I decided to go and do building technology. It was a class of 96. I was the only female. And
really?
Yes. But the department has no girls at all. So every year, I think you have just one girl. So my year, I was the only one.
And how did that feel?
It was awkward. It was awkward. At the beginning, it was tough for me. But I think that I didn't have any other option. I needed to get my off my back. I just needed to do what he wanted me to do. So I just had to manage. But in my second year, getting to the third year, I was beginning to enjoy it because when you're in the midst of boys, they want you to feel comfortable.
That's right.
They'll give up their seats for you. You come early.
Right.
They want you to be the class rep. They want you to lead a lot of the, like it's fun when you're among boys. I was
then when you are absent, all of them will come and look for you.
Yeah, so the days I'm not well and I'm not coming to school, everybody's wondering, hey, where is Etornam? Where is Etornam? So it was fun. It was fun. And then, but when I was in my final year, I knew that wasn't my final destination in terms of career path. I knew I needed to go back and do because when I was young, as little as 9, I was standing in front of the camera, the mirror, the dressing mirror, and be reading to myself. I always look forward to my dad coming from work. I'll take the newspapers and be reading. I really used to follow a lot of them newscasters at the time on GTV. So I never missed Barbara Gazy. I think she's not Barbara Sam. I'm not sure.
Yes.
Then Tim Pashiga. I never missed this one, Napoleon Atukito's report. Yes. I was constantly following their reports, and then I was just keen. You will see me in front of the camera reading the news as if I was reporting from the location, and I'll say, over to you in the studio. It was interesting. So I just knew. So when I was in my final year as Hope Poly, then I applied to GIJ. My parents didn't. It was my big brother who knew about it because he gave me the money to buy the forms. And so when, usually GIJ, I don't know whether they still do that, they will publish the names.
Yes.
The newspapers.
In Graphic and Times.
So I bought the graphic and then I saw my name. My God, I was so excited.
So you mean you and your big brother plotted the coup right under the eyes of your parents?
My parents didn't know about it. It was just me and my brother. So I was excited, like I couldn't sit calm. I was just, it was as if I won a jackpot, It was as if that was my first entry into tertiary. Meanwhile, I was in my final year at the Polytechnic. I said, I need to pursue this. So I called my big brother. I told him I've gotten the admission, but he should go on GIG campus and check if my name is on the board. Because my name is in the newspapers. He goes to check and, oh my God, my name was there. I was so excited. So that week I was defending my project. That week. So I needed to hurry up and go back. So when I finished defending my project, it was time we needed to write entrance exams. At time, we wrote entrance exams and then we did interview. After the entrance exam, they will receive the numbers and you go for interview. So after the entrance exams, we went for interview. After the interview, I got the admission into GIG. I was over. So by then I had finished the Polytechnic and I didn't do national service with that. I just went straight into GIG. And then that was how my journalism career began.
At what point did your parents find out that you were a student of the school?
When I got the admission and I came down, because I needed to go and do the I'd done the interview and everything. So when I got the admission letter, I needed to show my dad. I told my dad, I have played my role, I've done your part for you, and now I have to pursue what is really mine. He was shocked. My dad is such a disciplinarian. He was shocked, but I just had to do what I had to. He realized that it comes to me naturally. It was something I wanted to do. And they had to just give me their support because they had to pay the fees anyway.
That's right. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. This is interesting. So eventually you managed to turn him against his own desire and, expectations for you.
Exactly.
And he gave you his blessing to pursue journalism.
Exactly, because he had told all his friends, oh, my daughter will become a doctor, all those. But about me, what do I want? I can't even stand blood to talk of, becoming a doctor. It's crazy.
Journalism today, there's a lot of attrition. I am curious, has journalism lost you too?
In terms of what?
in terms of you haven't left the fold, have you left the fold as we speak?
Yes, I left full-time journalism practice February this year, so February 2022, because I'm tired. Not like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think in my next world, I'll be a writer. I'll be. I'm not really sure. Like, I'll do full-time writing because I love to write. I love to speak. So I'll still be writing and speaking, but active journalism is a lot of work. It's tiring. It takes a lot away from you. I mean, undoubtedly, journalism has opened doors for me, doors that I never would have gotten the opportunity to walk through, but for journalism, you know, because you're on TV, people know you, they know that you're authentic. If we do business with this person, there's no way she'll defraud us because she's a journalist, a lot is at stake. Also, because your face is on TV, you get a few favors, you're able to do a few things for other people. They'll say, oh, can you help me do this? Do you know this person here? And because of your job, you're able to do for them. So yes, but journalism is tiring. It's a lot of work. It's demanding. And you know, when you're young and you really don't have so many responsibilities, you are not married, you have children, you don't have a home to manage, you go all out. So you can go to work at 4 a.m. and come back the following day and nothing is like you're consumed by the work. And I have been down that road several years, you know, so I know what that means.
How were you able to combine journalism, being a wife, and motherhood?
It's crazy, Steve. Like, I'm not sure I can find the right word to describe that. It's crazy because I got married in 2011 and immediately God blessed me. So I got pregnant. So combining work, at the time I was at multimedia. I started work at multimedia in June. And then in October that year, I got married. And you know, so almost immediately you get pregnant. So you want to prove a point. You want your employers to know that yes, you're pregnant, but you can still deliver. You know, so I was at the time, Joy News had just started, and we started Joy News. So I was working on stories for the multi-TV box. There was a big gym, there was a morning show for big gym, but we were writing stories for big gym. We were producing a show called PM Express, and then there was Caucus. Caucus 2 was a political platform for politicians. We were getting ready for the 2012 election. So Caucus came and a few other programs. So we're working on that. So because I was working on the dawn morning show program, I'll come to around 4 a.m. Imagine a pregnant woman come to work at 4 a.m. means I don't sleep so well. Come to work at 4 a.m. I will sit through the whole time, write reports for the morning show, what is ongoing. I'm writing the reports. I'm writing the story of what happened, the highlights, so that we can, you know, traction to the show. And then when I'm done, I have to sit through and produce a 9 p.m. show for PM Express. So the evening shift closes and the drivers come to drop me. So sometimes the drivers come to drop me and I barely sleep, and the morning show team also will come. So I can get home like 10 p.m. And then by 2, 3 a.m., the driver is at your door waiting for you to pick you back to work.
Didn't your husband get angry at any point and said, this is enough, sleep?
I thank God for the life of my husband, because I mean, he's not a journalist. He's never been a journalist before, but I think he appreciates the fact that I love the job. You know, like there's a lot of energy and life in me each time I'm doing the job. So the best way to have a peaceful home is to give me all the support. So there are times that I'm sleeping late, I'm waking up early, and all he has to do is support me. You know, even for me to leave full time, he was like, are you sure? I know you love this. Are you sure? But I still had to go, because when it gets to a point where you know that if you don't take the decision, it will affect you. Children are asking questions. Mommy, you are barely around. It's always been daddy, even on weekends. Because there was a time I was running a 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. schedule. So I leave the house at 4 a.m. This was like 2 years ago. I leave the house at 4 a.m. I come back home at 11 p.m. and the cycle continues every day.
So you
my
meant
children,
by that time, at the time you are leaving, they are asleep. By the time you come back, they are asleep.
They are asleep. So they never see me until, and Saturday morning I'm on radio because I host a family program on radio at the time. So I'll do radio too. So when they wake up Saturday, they don't see me. So they only see me Saturday afternoon and Sunday, the whole day.
Whoa.
That's all. You know, and they continue to ask questions. My kids are going now. So, oh, mommy, why you are barely around? And there was this day we're going to work. You know, when I drop them off, sometimes we pray in the car. And we're praying, old son. I said, oh, John, pray for us today. And his prayer request was, God should give me a new job. Like, God should give me a new job.
They had had enough.
Yes, they had had enough. You know, so it's tough. If I would advise anybody on anything that comes to do with journalism, don't practice it for too long.
Will you even advise your own kids to go into it at all?
If it's your passion, see, journalism brought out the best in me. I'm not really sure if I'm able to do better in any profession. Now, I want to do proper corporate. I want to do something outside of my comfort zone because growing, you realize that comfort zone is dangerous. Comfort zone is no zone. You need to do something that is more challenging. You know, speaking, my first daughter, for instance, is just like me to an extent. Speaking comes to her naturally. Writing comes to her. She loves oratory. She loves, you know. So if a child like that wants to go into journalism, why not? You just have to let them understand that this is a job that doesn't pay. Doesn't pay. So you either do it as a side hustle, because if it's your main hustle, I'm sorry, you will die a pauper.
What stands out as the most challenging assignment you ever covered?
So, first of all, I remember when it was the 2012 elections. I was put in Matayeko. There was a constituency where Ras Mubarak, at the time, he was testing a seat there with someone. And I remember vividly how, I don't know whether it was just rumored or how his men, but I remember during counting, they walk in and then they pour gasoline somewhere and then they light the papers. So during counting, and they burn like half of the papers. I think the counting was going such that it was going against him. So I think it's, and these are rumors. I mean, when you compare, because if someone is winning the election, they won't come and destroy the papers. Yes, I think, and I was there reporting because it was live on Journeys. We broke the news first. There was a lot of pressure on me, and because people had heard, a lot of other media houses were coming to that constituency to see what was happening. So the stampede. I remember one macho man actually slapping me at the back of my ear.
You mean you were slapped?
Yes, I just went off. I don't remember. When I opened my eyes, I saw lots of people. People were just, I was lying somewhere. Nobody even realized I was lying down somewhere. You know, people just all over the whole place. Was a serious stampede.
That was 2012 election, right?
2012 elections, yes. That was a multimedia at the time. It was one of the scariest moments of my life.
Has any relative of yours ever heard this story?
No, nobody except for my husband. Because I'm sure if my dad heard it, he would say, I told you.
Exactly.
My husband was the one, he was extremely worried because at the time I had just had a baby, my first child, you know, and he was wondering why, you know, I won't come home and take care of the child. I mean, what if something happens to you? He was a bit worried, but we had to get past that.
Journalism, when social media came, it introduced a lot of untrained journalists. It launched their careers, citizen journalists. Out of that, we have had the emergence of bloggers and all that. How much of a change or a challenge did social media present to journalism itself?
So I didn't do prints
Okay.
and online much. Well, these days, because of the whole convergence thing,
That's right.
now you do for TV, radio, and write for online. But I'm mainly a TV and a radio person. And several years ago, before social media came in, go on location. I mean, the best you can do is to do a phone in and give an idea of what happened there.
Yeah.
So you bring your tape home or your story home, and then you cut and you edit and you do everything, and then you package the story, and it is shown during your primetime news. But now social media will not give you that luxury, because while the thing is happening on location, social media is broadcasting it.
You're streaming live.
So you don't have the luxury of relaxing and coming to now script your story. You have to do it on location. So you find yourself with your laptop on location. While it's happening, you are reporting live. You're cutting the video and sending. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So sometimes it's happening, if you're reporting for radio, you're using your phone to record. Immediately the minister says something, but you press the send and then it goes, and before you know it is playing like, oh, Joy had it first. Oh, this. Everybody wants to be the first to break the news because social media is making the work difficult for us. You see, the thing about traditional media is that yes, social media will break it, but people will always wait for traditional media to sort of confirm or give us the full picture, because you may not really get the full picture from social media. Everybody is just doing cut and paste and bits and pieces, but traditional media will authenticate the story, and that's the beauty of traditional media. So social media has given some sort of speed. See, another reason I left full-time journalism is that the competition is high, and when you get to a certain age, you may not have the energy to do the running around. You may not have the energy to do the things that you would do if you had the opportunity, if you were younger. So then because me too, I'd rather give off my best than not do. So like it means then let me not do it at all. If I cannot push and go the long haul, then let me not do it at all. So when your energy is failing you, you realize that you can't go as far as you used to, then don't go.
Was there any assignments or series of assignments you were given that represented almost a breaking point for you in the line of duty?
Yes, there were lots, because with journalism, the more you do, the more is expected of you. So for instance, if others are not pulling their weight, someone comes with fresh energy, they will just pick other people's job because the employer is looking for results, and they'll just keep piling. So I've had those ones, but what I would say was breaking for me was when I was put on the morning show. The morning show had a lot demanding, because you're looking at newspaper review, you're looking at what is trending, you wake up at dawn, you're reading around, your day never ends. It's like every time you're chasing news, you're wondering what's happening, what can I do? What can I read to stay ahead of competition? You're doing all the research. And then when I was done with the morning show, I think from when I was doing the morning show, 6 months into it, and I was giving another role to read the news in the evening, News 360. So I was doing business news. At a point, I read News 360 when the uncle wasn't around. So it was back to back, and there was and then on weekends I'm on radio. So there was a time I was asking myself whether I was worth it, because nothing had changed in terms of working conditions, nothing in terms of salary, nothing changed. So the money is not so good, but you're just stretching. And when people see you on TV, the perception is that you have money,
you are doing well,
you're doing very well. And so when it happens that way, you're asking yourself, whether it's worth it. So I would say that was a break. So 2000 and 2020 was one of the breaking points for me in my career.
Should journalists be licensed?
So I understand that the profession has been watered down so much, since that people, now you find everyone with just a microphone, saying we are journalists. There are people who are not trained. There are people who maybe because they're good with the microphone and they're good with the language, they just start spewing. And so because of that, lots of fake news around, and we have a lot of exaggerations in the local languages. So you will say that, yes, we should look at curtailing some of these things. So we should look at sure that people practice their profession, applying all the standards, the ethics of the profession. However, you'd also know that there are people who are doing pretty good jobs. In every profession, there are charlatans. So there are people who are doing pretty good jobs. And all the media houses, I've worked with 2 major media houses, Multimedia, Media General. And there are people who are really upholding the standards of the profession. And when it comes to licensing journalism, it will be a very risky thing to do, because one, you may be curtailing freedom of expression, because freedom of speech, people will be responsible for what they say, and they must be made responsible for what they say. But people must be allowed to operate in, within a certain, frame. Where your freedom ends is where someone's begins, anyways. So GJA must do its job, the National Media Commission must do its job, but we must not license the journalism profession, or journalists must not be licensed, because then who will be licensing the journalists? Someone will sit somewhere and say that, oh, this person is hard on this government. So because of that, they will not give you your license. Someone like Manasseh will never receive a license if someone...
Definitely. Even if he receives and it is renewable, he might remain out of the profession probably until people who look like his friends maybe come some years later.
Exactly. So it's not something that must be considered. However, the institutions mandated to check the works of journalists, to regulate the profession, must do jobs. Over the years, I've never been a GJA member. I've never seen it as I've done my job for over 13 years. I've never found the organization credible enough, because I feel that almost every government that comes into power has its own GJA group. So we are unable to fight. People are not able to do the job. The National Media Commission is not biting hard. There are so many things they say that we see on TV that is being done. I remember they brought a rule that there won't be sexual adverts or alcoholic adverts within a certain time. You see it's still around. I mean, we just have to ensure that people are working within and going by the ethics of the profession. That is really the way for me, and not license.
The white envelope with some money in it after an assignment is one of the most exciting Pentecostal handshakes for journalists. They call it Solly. What is your own take? What is your own take on Solly?
Well, first of all, there is nothing wrong with solidarity.
Okay.
I have worked in media organizations where you will sign,
Mm.
will not take solid. So
Okay.
it's part of agreements that you have with the media house.
Mm.
Signing. So if anybody comes and says that Etornam came for an assignment and we gave her this, you can be sacked.
Oh, wow.
I've worked with a media organization that has said that. So, but I don't find anything wrong with solidarity. One, because the idea is to be able to help the journalists go. It's a TNT. That's the idea. Okay, so it's a form of a TNT for the journalists. So most media houses, the journalists would have to come with their own transport.
Okay.
So the remuneration is bad, and out of that, you have to use that to pick a car to location to get the story. Because you're waiting for the car, maybe the company has just one car, it's taking some people to location, and by the time they come, you'll be late for your assignments. Your editor is from you, you need to get your story and beat competition. So any vibrant journalist will take the lead, and that means using your, and most companies will not give you the money back. The money you have spent, investing in going for assignments. So I think that people, so the idea is just to cushion the journalists a bit. However, it become, how do I call it? It's become a practice that has become very corrupt.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how else to put it, because now some journalists are more or less demanding for the. So you go for an assignment and there's no, and you see them hanging around, and they will not do the story, or they will not do the story the way you're supposed to do it.
Okay.
But any journalist worth your salt, whether solidarity or not, you will do the story. There are some journalists. Me, when I go on assignment, sometimes you will find the organizers come to the office to look for you and say that we have to send a report and you didn't take the money that was made available. I think that's more respectful than you going and chasing the money. Some journalists demand for it. They will hang around the premises of the program until they get their money before they come. That is not right. But the whole idea of supporting journalism practice with solidarity, I don't see anything wrong with that.
You were the official host of the Maiden MTN Media Awards. Am I right?
Yes.
Right. I am not going to ask about you hosting, but I'm looking at you as a business journalist. Now, I'm sure it is because of your workings, your tilt towards business journalism that got you closer to MTN. Now, at what point did business journalism become of interest to you, or what really turned your attention to it?
Okay, so first of all, I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would become a business reporter or business journalist. Never. So when I started my profession, I started as a health reporter.
Okay.
And once you are out of school, they throw you everywhere. So you're doing health, you're doing politics, you're doing social stories. But when I was at TV3 during my national service, I was doing more of the health stories until I moved to multimedia. And I was thrown everywhere. So in multimedia in 2018 or 2020, in 2013, one of my colleagues who was on the business decks at the time was leaving to the US to do her master's. She was the main person of the business that she was reading the business news, and they were looking for a replacement for her. At the time, I was just doing almost everything. So they're looking for someone who was versatile, who could feel it. And they gave me the opportunity. So that was how it started. Yeah.
So looking back, having done business journalism since 2013 to date is about 9 years, if I'm right.
Yes.
If we are to roll back 10 years, would you still choose business journalism?
Well, I'm sure I'll start with it. I'm sure that from the get-go out, because you see, already I wasn't a fan of mathematics, business and but I realized that the business news reporting is actually for serious minds. Like, it's not like something you can chew and pour.
That's right.
It has to do with numbers. It has to do with history, facts. And you're speaking to very learned people. So you have to be sure what you're talking to. It puts me on my toes. Business reporting puts you on your toes and makes you know that the people you're talking to are discerning. If you don't get it right, the next day you're out of job. Always checking your facts, getting it right, because you're interviewing the headline makers. I have interviewed Foriata before. I've interviewed the current governor of the Bank of Ghana before. I've interviewed movers and shakers in the financial sector. And it's not an industry that you can go shallow or with your battery half charged.
Yeah.
It has to be full charged battery. You need to know your numbers, know everything, so that once you're interviewing the person, they're always on edge. I will start from the beginning. Business journalism, if I had the opportunity again.
Does journalism pay?
No, not at all. Journalism doesn't pay. Well, in terms of cash, journalism doesn't pay. But journalism pays in so many other ways. Journalism opens doors for you. Like when I walk to certain offices, I don't need to introduce myself. When I walk to the passport office today or something, there are people who know you, say, oh, Etornam, you don't have to pay anything. They take pride in helping you do certain things. The journalism will take you places. You can pick a phone and call someone, and just because you're a journalist, they want to do things for you. So it will open the door for you. It will give you certain leverage. But in money, if I compare myself to my colleagues I sat in the same class, the last time I was telling someone that I dropped my kids off at school, and I was crossing the road to sit in my car, and a colleague of mine passed. I sat in the same class with him. My God, he rolled down his glass. I saw the car. It was registered that year. He bought it that year. Fresh car, skin color. This guy was even smarter than him in class. Oh my God. So when I looked at him, and the way he wasn't serious at all in class, and where he worked now, and the money he's paid every month, journalism.
Was that the reason you branched off into corporate communication? Just to collect your arrears?
Oh no, so I feel that, well, yeah, to an extent, but the main reason for me to get it right, like I spent too much time in journalism, so I needed to pick, because when you do journalism for too long and you start applying for other jobs and you take your CV, you realize it's not rich.
Yeah, it's one-sided.
It's one-sided. All you do is work, report, do stories, write stories, maybe be on TV, host shows, that is all. But you cannot live in this world and that's all you do. There's a lot that we can do, just coming. It's not rich. So when I saw my CV, so I picked my CV 6 years ago, 5 years ago, and I said, no, Etornam, you should be able to do a lot more. So I started working on that, working on other projects to enrich my CV, broadening my networks, taking on volunteering works so that I can get a lot more experience here and there, because I knew that I was preparing to exit media and I needed to have some form of a strong foundation to move.
How much of your privacy did you sacrifice to be on television?
Oh, when you're on TV, your business is everybody's business. Your business is everybody's business. You can't even make a post without people, insinuating things.
That's right.
You have So when you type something, you have to check it with someone. So when I type something, I'll send it to my husband and say, what do you think? He said, oh, don't post it. Then so like you don't, because the vultures will come for you, so and I would say that when I compare myself to my other female colleague journalists who are not married, I'll say that the viewers and the listeners were lenient to me than they were to them. Because when you're married, sometimes you are restricted with some of the comments.
Yeah.
They don't to you in a certain way and all. But if you compare it to my colleagues who are not married, the way they are harsh with them, you write something, and I'm also very calculated with what I post online. I don't put too much out there. My family is not too much out there. I'm very measured because
Etornam, she is one of the powerful voices, or she was one of the powerful voices in business journalism. And so she decided that it cannot be till death do us part. This is journalism, not marriage. So she has filed for divorce and is being granted. Now she is free, ready to mingle with the corporate world. She has been my guest today on PENSDOWN, and we've had an exciting conversation. I have tried to find out, what took her into journalism, some of the critical decisions she's had to take along the line, and why she left. Journalism is losing quality. Unfortunately, we have lost her to something else. Can we complain? We'll be back next time. Another colleague will be here. We'll be talking his or her journalism journey. My dear, thank you very much for your time.
For having me. I've really had a small time.
Thanks a lot. So we'll be back next time. Thanks for being with us. Goodbye.